today, in her former position as think tank director for a boutique finance, well, this is a great title, think tank director for a boutique financial planning firm. She increased the firm's media exposure from 1 to 2 mentions a year to over 100. Nancy has been quoted in the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, U.S. News and World Report, and writes a weekly column for Forbes.com. Nancy Anderson is the senior financial planner for Key Private Bank for the state of Utah. As part of her Toastmasters role as VP of Publicity, Nancy would like to share an educational speech on gaining media attention for the club and, of course, for herself. Her speech title is How to Get Noticed in the Media, and the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Nancy Anderson.
I'm also going for most boring introduction, so add that to the category. So getting a little attention, getting noticed. I thought I'd talk about that today for the educational speech. And as VP of Publicity, we want to get the good word out about the club. But I thought it'd be also interesting for you guys maybe to get the good word out about your company and maybe about yourself. So I thought I'd add a few tips on how to do that today. It's not an easy thing to do because it's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants a feature story about themselves, right? Or their company. So there's a lot of stiff competition for getting out there in the media. Every club wants to have their information out there and promote all the different events. The other thing is that the media has changed a little bit in terms of journalists have a lot to do now. There's a lot on their plate. There's less of them. When I started writing for Forbes about 4 years ago, about half the staff was laid off because they added people like me, great contributors. And so the journalists now are writing articles every single day. So it's a little bit hard to get their attention. It's probably true in the local media too, but it's certainly true in the national media. And then of course there's the 24/7 multiple outlets, including our own blogs. So getting a little headspace is sometimes a little bit difficult to do. But it can be done if you do it smartly. So today I'm going to give you 5 tips on gaining media attention. So just to be clear, with the VP of Publicity, getting the word out, there's the social media, which is your Facebook and Twitter and all of the different media sites. But I'm going to focus today on the sort of traditional media, which is newspaper, TV, and radio. And one of the reasons is that, I don't know if you guys know this, but do you guys watch the local news? Do you guys watch anybody? Okay. So a couple people raised their hands, but Pew Research came out and said that 90% of people in the US do watch their local news. I don't know the percentage of people that read the paper, but in terms of reading the Park Record, but a lot of people do read the local news, and it can make a big difference in terms of events. When we did our evening event, we just put the event at Red Rock in the paper, and we got a couple people coming in. So media, the traditional media is still really relevant. And it happens to be something I'm more of an expert on. If you want to do the social media, we have a couple people right over there, Sue Ann and Stacy, that can probably be more of an expert on social media. So there's 5 tips to gaining media attention. The first thing is going to be the most obvious, and that's you got to be spot on. You got to, when you're sending a press release or you're sending an email with information to a journalist, you want to give them all the information. It has to be really accurate. The other thing is you want to be ready for a response. That might seem obvious, but sometimes you'll get someone, oh, this sounds interesting. Can you have the club president on tomorrow? And so you want to have your ducks in a row. One of the things we do for radio is we want to think about who has a good radio voice. So Marielle has this accent, so we want to put her on the radio. Becca has really good vocal variety, so we had her on the list for radio. TV, I'm kind of thinking that guy. Fred is very expressive, right? Obviously Stacy. So you want to be ready when you put the information out so that you have the right people and you know when they're available. So the facts. You get the facts, but the next thing is you want to actually get on. So you want to put yourself in the mindset of the viewer. Let me ask you a question. We have the new officers going to be coming in this summer. We care about it, right? Do you think anyone else really cares? Is that like a big media event? Oh, a new slate of officers! Woohoo! Yeah, let's go! No one cares. So you want to think about what is it that might interest the readers. So Toastmasters. Why would someone that's a public speaker, that's in sales already, come to be in our club? Toastmasters might give you an edge. It's very competitive in this mountain town. Everyone wants to live here. So one of the things you might want to do is join Toastmasters to help you get an edge with your job and keep an edge. So that would be maybe the story for the media. The next thing is you want to make sure you do your research. If you're going to reach out to a journalist, you want to have read their information. And by the way, flattery works. We did a campaign where we said, we're reaching out to the top 100 journalists. We did this in a national media campaign. And of the 100 that we reached out to, we actually got 8 stories out of it. Because people are like, oh, good, someone's reading my information. So flattery works, but you have to know your audience in the sense of know the journalist. Anticipate their needs. So for example, as I mentioned, I write a weekly column for Forbes. In January, I got a packet in the mail from Ernst & Young with 10 tax tips and said, do you want our tax guide for free? I'm like, sure. So I get the tax guide. But they basically wrote the story for me and then gave me an interview with one of their top tax advisors. So I took that opportunity, and then it was one of my most popular blogs. It was easy to do. So one of the things I try to do is make it easy for the journalist. So in the press release, I'm going to put a quote. So I actually wrote Sue Ann's quote, and put it in, and then sent it to her and said, what do you think about this? And she made a few tweaks, but rather than her having to worry about it, and also the journalist having to write something, sometimes they'll just put it in without even having to talk to you, because you have the quote. So anticipate what their needs are. And then remember that journalists are people. They like working with people that they like. Be yourself and be fun, and they're just on the phone or you're sending an email. Make it really personal. And you can get in the media as a national expert doing these things. Because there are people out there that need content, they need really credible resources, and they want someone that's really interesting to talk to, which is you. Thank you very much.